Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. My name is Ben. We're here to talk about shooting. On deck today, who you can probably see pretty well, Mr. Joel Parks. Say
hello, everyone.
Yep. Hello. And Mr. Matt Branca from X-Ray Alpha.
Hello.
Hello. All right. So you guys know the deal. We come here with topics. Today will be a little bit different because you got to stop with the clicking, Matt, or I'm going to have to kill you.
Well, Ben's posted a lot of shooting videos online. He went and trained with Matt. As Ben mentioned, Matt owns a training company, X-Ray Alpha. So Ben's went there and done some rifle training, which of course, I've blowing
That's
up.
me.
Yes, it's yours. You can drink that. Even I blow up Ben's phone with questions like, "Hey, what did you learn? What did you think? What did you want to take away? What did Matt teach you?" So that's what we are going to talk about.
Yeah. So I think the start of it is Matt. At what point did you? Were you thinking like, hey, I want Ben to shoot a rifle, like shoot it properly, shoot it a bit?
I think it was probably after a couple years of training with you at various times, and then going back, and training with the guys I work with, and started drawing these correlations between kind of pistol performance shooting and how that directly translated over to the rifle. What I noticed was I've known plenty of people that are phenomenal rifle shooters, even that practical rifle kind of CQB distances out to about 150 meters and even at long range, but that could not shoot a pistol to save their life. But I have yet to meet someone that is a really good practical pistol shooter that can't shoot a rifle in a practical kind of really aggressive manner. So that was what did it for me. I was really interested. Hey, we talked about it. Let's do a week of training, kind of set a date. I mean, we talked about that about 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And picked the worst time, North Carolina in the winter to do it. But
I thought the weather was, for the most part, pretty good.
It was a little cold though.
Okay. Well,
Dude, it's always cold from where we come from.
You're a California guy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Southern California. It's nice. If you took all the California out of it. But no, so going through that with your understanding of kind of movement and dry fire and how to translate that to live fire is really curious to see, like, hey, without virtually any rifle experience shooting that way, what level could you get to in a short amount of time? Kind of a condensed week of training. And it was, from my assessment and opinion about it, it was remarkable. I mean,
yeah. I would say I was fairly diligent. Matt, so you've been training with guns for a long time, like quite seriously, and so you have a whole training system and the stuff that you think is important. So here's the dry fire drills you're going to do at night. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm doing the dry fire drills you're telling me to do, and then you're like, here's the live fire drills, here's the assessments, the tests, here's what we're trying to do, and we just like kind of worked through it. But right. I was pretty diligent, and you have a system, obviously. So,
and that's one of the things too that you see a lot of. It's not. I don't think it's open for debate anymore that, hey, dry fire is going to make you better, but at what level are people putting into that? And even if you change platforms on a pistol, they say, well, yeah, there's ingrained pistol skills and there's kind of muscle memory that's built, and the platform doesn't really matter, the actual gun. But you take it to a whole completely different weapon, I mean the rifle, and all the stuff that's ingrained from your practical pistol training, all the hand speed and the understanding of dry fire and how it translates to live fire, and the objective processing of what you're seeing when you're looking through the sights at scaled targets. That's where I think people are falling short with dry fire. Because from my experience, the people that I've been training mostly, they dry fire, and they dry fire draws and reloads. And they don't pay attention. They dry fire gun handling. They don't really pay attention to movement, and they do not pay the correct attention to objectively assessing what the sights are doing as they're whipping this gun around.
That makes sense. So you invited Ben out. Ben, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah.
what was your goal? Kind of like people, hey, are you going to start shooting 3-gun? Are you going to start shooting PRS or some other rifle matches? Like, what was your goal behind this? What was your thought process? What did you want to get out of it?
I wanted to shoot something different and just have fun and pretty much get as good as I could in that short time. So I should say my formative years pistol shooting. So before I was shooting competitively, I didn't really know what to do. So there was a time where I would read about shooting tests with handguns, like some police qualification, some sort of course or some kind of thing like that. And I would go do my own sort of experiments by myself, trying to learn a little bit about how to shoot my handgun.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But I wasn't going to matches. It didn't really matter how well I could shoot. I mean, there's not a whole lot of like shootings going on up here, and I wasn't competing, so it didn't really matter. I was just doing it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of it kind of reminded me of those days where I'm just learning to use the tool the best I could without really any reason. It was actually really fun for me. I had a great time.
And with that, I mean, with the kind of shooting that we did, there's no real sport kind of application for it. I don't think there isn't a sport that exists. In my opinion, it's 3-gun is how fast you can load a shotgun.
You are not the first person I've heard say that.
And 2-gun, a lot of it gets more precision. It's not, there's no real kind of practical 75-yard and in, 150-yard and in type matches. So especially none that are using like the hit factor scoring that we primarily used.
Yeah, that was the first place I was going to take it, because 3-gun is time plus scoring. I know there's some outlaw, but I think it's mainly time plus scoring. So you get like 2 rifle hits anywhere on the target or an alpha. But you doing hit plus or hit factor scoring is a lot different than what maybe most people would train with when they train with the rifle. So I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I love hit factor scoring. I use it in all my classes. It's a little bit difficult to understand from a like USPSA standpoint, where looking at a stage and being able to break down what the hit factor of the stage should be. But from a just purely scoring standpoint, it's the best system that balances speed and accuracy. And then for rifle type stuff, it really puts a premium on speed with a practical level of accuracy.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. That makes a lot of sense.
Fair enough. Where else do you want to go with this?
So I guess one thing you talked with Ben, you trained with Ben. What would you say is maybe things that people train on that makes no sense? So, I mean, you can go wherever you want to go with it, or as crazy as you want to go with it. But, you always see, maybe some people are always really working on weak-handed shooting with a rifle. They want to switch shoulders. But with the handgun, they're always working on racking it off their boot or off their holster, off their, belt, that kind of stuff. What do you see people do that it's just like it's not productive, that they shouldn't be wasting their time with? You know what I mean?
Right. And I mean, I think from a practical standpoint, there's so many different skills you have to be good at, and you put time into practicing them. But a lot of what I see from that kind of the defense or tactical, that type of shooting world is the one-handed manipulations with the pistol. People take it to the nth degree, the way that they get into this kind of imagination cosplay stuff that they do on a range with, this arm is down, and all of that is just, it's the worst version of range theatrics, in my opinion. It's, the amount of time, with the guys I work with that we spend doing one-handed manipulations off our boot is 0 minutes throughout a career. Just because I get it that those situations have happened in like law enforcement, and you have to have that skill or that understanding, but the situations become so distinct, and from someone that's been shot, you're not gonna the fact that people think they're going to do all this stuff. I mean, most people that I see doing that don't have the mindset to hold it together after a little beep on a shot timer, let alone somebody shooting at them. So spending
or shooting them.
Yeah, or shooting them. But spending the amount of time that people do that, I get it. You have to have an understanding of it to become well-rounded. But when you have entire days of courses built around this or built around some very specific niche fundamental that you're trying to drill down on with no real extensive explanation of it other than, hey, just figure it out. I think that's where people waste time, and it gets worse with the rifle. The switching shoulders of the rifle is just something that is not really, we do a little bit of it from a confined space movement standpoint, but this to be your go-to move when shooting right side or left side of a barricade, I mean, it's a gimmick. I wouldn't change hands with my pistol to shoot two-handed, left-handed style, but there's still people that spend a lot of time training on that, and I think they get way ahead of themselves with training these types of techniques without having a solid understanding of just shooting the gun normally.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, and you can spend 20 minutes on YouTube going down the YouTube rabbit hole and you'd be amazed at the stuff that you find, and all of it's people build entire instructor careers off of one incident or something that happened, and then that becomes like the gospel for them, and I just don't agree with that mentality.
Yeah. So I watched the Plug Training Group. Ben did take some videos. Him and Matt were training, so there are videos that'll be available on Training Group.
Oh, I posted. The day we're recording this is the 6th.
I was not dating the recording.
Of January. I posted a video dump from the class Matt and I did, like the pistol class we did, the USPSA class, which people might find interesting. But there'll be more stuff to come.
But what I thought was interesting is when you were training Ben with the rifle, it was all I'll call it boring stuff, where you're doing like, position entry, position exit, moving, like cadence, all that types of stuff, like just the hardcore, like the fundamentals is what it looked like. Right. You and Ben were training.
The thing we started with was your draw with the rifle, essentially.
Yeah. So
it wasn't your draw, strictly speaking, but started with just react to a stimulus, like look to a target, bring the sight to the point, and engage the target.
Yeah. So kind of the first, we worked on that reaction time and indexing the gun correctly, and a lot of that, with prior to even going on the range, Ben did a lot of extensive dry fire where I gave him some really tight parameters on what the sight needs to be doing and kind of the scale target you look to. And that in itself, it proves invaluable. If you have a good index with a rifle, the same as with a pistol, a lot of it becomes a processing game after that, which is very difficult to train on a range. So we're then holding that reaction. Those reaction times are getting smaller and smaller, and really focusing on the accuracy against the time standard. And I think towards the end of the week, you were consistently reacting to an 8-inch circle plate standing at 100 yards in under half a second, which from a practical standpoint, from a fighting standpoint, is where I like to see people be able to process the sight and move the gun precisely enough in a fast manner to make those shots in those times.
Yeah. So what was fun for me is kind of like, I have a lot of pistol shooting experience, of course. I've done it a lot. And then it would be like if I had a lot of experience in some other area and then I came to pistol shooting, and then somebody like Matt's like, all right, so it's 7 yards, dry fire. You need to be able to draw the gun, point it to the center of the target in 0.6. And you want to be able to shoot a shot live in 0.8 under like a controlled training environment. So like to develop like a 80 draw, but like that was the starting point for us. That was kind of how tight Matt made it, where he's like, nope, it's got to be like, this is what I want to see you, like a really good guy doing. And we went from there.
Yeah. And I think towards the end of it, I mean, you shoot rifle at this point just as well as anybody that I've worked with. So
Yeah, Ben doesn't suck for sure.
It proves that I think there is what you get from building high level competency and high levels of skill and fundamentals with a pistol. It goes right over to the rifle. You know, it's what was the analogy we used that driving a
driving a Camry. Oh yeah, so many people think that how much time they spend doing something, where they'll be like, oh, I've been doing this or that for 20 years, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I've done classes with these people. Like they think how much time they put into something equals how good they are at the thing. And I said, yeah, if you drive a Toyota Camry 200,000 miles, you got a lot of reps, but that doesn't make you a race car driver.
No, and I think it's a balance. There's an experience element, but there's also a currency element, and then it has to be too, like, in what context does that experience come from?
Yep,
yeah, for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, and I'm nowhere near the ability Ben is, but I also found it interesting that when I shot a rifle, like previously, I was very much a turtle, so focused on the smallest groups I could shoot and that kind of stuff. And now going out and shooting it in a, like what you're doing, a practical type of sense, I was surprised with very little training how well I was able to shoot it. Which, I mean, I'm not saying it's amazing by any means, but it was like what you guys are saying. It's like, oh, this is a lot easier than I remembered after I'd improved my handgun skills a lot without, I mean, frankly, any rifle training at all.
Right, and what you have to do, the fundamentals, the skill you have to build to accurately shoot, practical size groups to shoot out the A zone at speed with a pistol. Then when I give you just a more aggressive weapon to shoot, where you take recoil away, give you only kind of one aiming scheme where you're going to be completely target focused, both eyes open. You can just drive that car a lot faster.
Yeah, you described this gun as a Ferrari compared to the pistol.
It is, and I think it's a way more aggressive weapon, and for guys that want to get good at shooting it, and I primarily deal with guys that shoot that thing for a living. You have to be able to shoot it in that aggressive manner, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I should say I had a blast, and like I want to continue training on it just because fun. So let's talk through what I got here, which is one of the things that I got out of this. So I shot one of Matt's guns, and what I ended up doing was having Matt tell me what to get, and then I ordered 2 guns.
Yeah.
So I've got one of them right here, so we can talk through. I mean, this is going to be a bummer for the audio people, but we'll talk through kind of the parts to the rifle. So
well, let's let Matt talk about it. So the interesting part I thought when Ben was training with Matt, he was at his hotel room, and he's like, "Yeah, I got my rifle here." I'm like, "Well, tell me all about it. What is it?" And it's like, "Well, it's a basic rifle that obviously reliability is the primary concern, but other than that, I mean, it's just a rifle. I mean, yeah, the sighting system is unique that we'll talk about it, and it has a Geisley trigger, which Geisley, I already have those in all my rifles. They're outstanding. But otherwise, it's just a rifle. I mean, it's pretty basic, I suppose you could say, compared to what people maybe would expect.
Right.
Without any special lights, lasers, all the special stuff.
Yeah. So the primary, the guns that I teach with are really basic stock guns. It's a good, reliable kind of patrol carbine, even though it's got the pistol brace on it, and that's just for me, it's for traveling. But it's a
so you don't have to deal with the SPR shit.
Yeah, it's not an NFA item.
It's not an NFA. So and I like the Geisley parts. They're good, reliable. The triggers you can't beat. So I think you got the SSAE trigger. So it's got a 2-stage trigger in it, which is a good combat trigger.
Could you explain what the 2 stages just briefly? I'm sorry.
So the 2-stage, I would describe it, it's a sloppy trigger. It's got, a first stage that you pull through that is, I think it's a 1.5 pound stage, and that's basically slack, and then it breaks with another 3 pounds. It's a 4 pound trigger. So I like that. You can have your finger on the trigger, while you're in an engagement, and you're not dealing with like a 2.5 pound single stage match trigger where when you apply any pressure to it, it breaks instantly. It's just a good,
like a safety net.
Yeah, it's a good safety net. It's a good combat like duty trigger. You know, same way you don't want to have a race gun. You know, with as a duty pistol, you want reliability, and you can, in my opinion, you can get to shoot that 2-stage trigger just as well as you can shoot any of his, 3-gun single stage triggers.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, the gun I have here, Matt, you're cool with Aero Precision stuff, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So it's just a Aero Precision lower and a Aero Precision upper that was just boxed and sent to me with all the stuff that you said to have.
Yeah.
I don't know about this. Matt didn't say we need this. This was you.
Geisley charging handle.
Do we need the Geisley charging handle?
I like the Geisley charge handle. It's about the only thing I really like on the gun to be ambidextrous, and it's got a big enough paddle for doing manipulations for racking it, but it's not, kind of a ridiculous flange sitting out there to get caught up on it.
Well, I also thought if you had something stuck in the chamber like a jam, I mean, I could put my foot on that and kick it hard enough to clear it. So. Yeah,
I don't know why you do that though, Joe.
Hey man, I reload my own ammo, and sometimes ammo is not always
just to annoy
perfect.
You, Matt.
Yeah.
Kind of like going prone, right?
Yeah. If you're scared, I don't know.
So what else? So let's talk about the sighting system, because
So we got the Hollow Sun.
Right.
510C on here.
Yep. So honestly, when I started X-Ray Alpha, obviously, cost was a big thing, and I was looking for an optic that was durable, had all the same certifications as EOTech Aimpoint. But to be honest, like, I wasn't impressed. I've shot EOTech for years at work and not really impressed with the optic. I do like the 65-minute ring with a 2-minute dot, and I don't like the size of the objective lens for like all the micro red dots like Aimpoint and Spark and the SIG. But that Hollow Sun, for the price point, the reticle in it is the clearest reticle that I've seen. And from my experience,
let's take price out of it. Which optic would you have?
I would still shoot that Hollow Sun.
That's all you need to know, I guess.
Yeah, from my standpoint, it's I know people on the internet go high into the right because it's an American company, but the thing's assembled in China. But I've got 2 optics, one of them that's got well over 100,000 rounds on it. It's beat up. I don't take special care of it. And the features of that optic with that panel and the settings, Aimpoint doesn't make anything like it. EOTech doesn't make anything like it. And then the reticle crushes anything on the market, in my opinion. And I know people have an issue with Hollow Sun for whatever. I mean, I would just say, get one, shoot it. I mean, I've had no malfunctions. The battery life is insane. And the ability to change the reticle, to between single dot 65-minute ring or dot and 65-minute ring.
The reticles. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you can't beat it. That's all I was saying.
The reticle setup that you have, or the system that you have for doing this is, I found to be super interesting, because otherwise you could do like a variable 1 to 5, and maybe you have different holds or hashes or ticks. Would you explain the setup you use for this and how you use the reticle the way you do?
Yeah, so I shoot that 65-minute ring on a 50-meter zero. So I'll start off and I put a rough 50-meter zero, the 10-meter 50 on it, and get it on where it's close, and then I go out to 50, shoot prone, supported, and zero the gun at 50 meters for the ammo that I primarily shoot. And what that does for me, it gives me the least amount of holds out to 200. I can just hold on the target, and I'm either going to be, less than 5 inches high or less than 5 inches low based off the distance. And it gives a real consistent hold over as I move into CQB distances, where based off whatever riser I have on there, in my height over bore, it's consistent. What I like the 65-minute ring for is using just that 65-minute ring for really kind of fast, high percentage shots up close, and then also at CQB distances for low percentage, precise shots, kind of inside of 30 feet. Your point of aim and point of impact is that 65-minute hash.
Now, at the bottom of the ring.
The bottom of the ring.
The bottom of the ring, of the 65-minute ring. And for me, in training to that over the last however many years and getting used to understanding that that aiming scheme, it's invaluable. Like you don't have the holdover issues. You can be way more precise with that setup than you can with a T1. You know, T1, you're just hold. It's a ghost hold. You're going to place that thing whatever you perceive to be, 1.9 to 2.5 inches over bore and hope for the best. But when you're with that 65-minute ring, kind of at CQB distances, you have a very precise, like, this is what I'm looking at. This is where the bullet's going to go.
Well, the interesting part with the hit factor scoring, like to go back to what we talked about earlier, is if you had a variable 1 to 5 or 1 to 8, 1 to 6, whatever, maybe you would shoot a tighter group. So let's say with the red dot, I shoot a 2-inch group at 50 yards, and maybe with the variable, I can shoot a half-inch group or 3/4, whatever. But the hit factor scoring, there's no scoring gain from being like a turtle or that super like little one-hole, type of group. So
right.
For, like the application you're talking about using these rifles in,
I see
more than
what's yeah. Right? No, I see so many people too putting these LPVOs though on 11-inch barrel guns. 11-inch barrel gun shooting 77 grain match ammo, like that's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. You have a confined space weapon with precision match ammo and a 10 power optic on it. And from my experience, what you lose from a speed standpoint at like 75 yards and in, and from an awareness standpoint, because to shoot that LPVO, you have to live in that tube.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm just as fast. Well, if you're just as fast with the LPVO, then why do you put a 45-degree red dot on it?
Sure.
So if you train a little bit, and the way that I always have looked at training, you can become very accurate and very fast out to kind of that 350, 400-yard range with just the unmagnified optic. You just have to train at understanding where your holds are and what that sight picture looks like. But from an awareness standpoint, you're going to be way more aware with both eyes open, focused on the target, even out to like intermediate distances. And that's,
yes.
Yeah.
I'd say with just a few days of training, like the hollow, because we were training at different distances on different target types. So, shooting at a 10-yard USPSA target, you just use the whole 65 mil ring and put it at the top of the A zone and you're good. If you got to hit the credit card, you go to that bottom hash and put that on the credit card. Pretty much any other time, you just look for look at the dot and you're good. Like it's a very simple system. That's what I really like about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I guess just to reiterate, the rifle is nothing special. It's just something very reliable that will work. But otherwise, it's you said it before when we had you on. It's the carpenter more than the tools.
Yeah. It's never, yeah. And that's and I get it. I like nice rifles as much as the next guy, but the amount that I shoot and the amount that I train and shooting out barrels, I'm not buying a $700 upper receiver when I can basically part together a whole gun for that same price with the amount that I'm shooting through them. And I think you put the ballistic advantage barrels in it.
Me?
Yeah.
No, it's just all Aero Precision stuff.
Oh, you did the Aero barrels too?
Yep.
I bought a complete upper.
Yep. Just a complete upper and a complete lower.
Oh, okay.
Together.
Oh, okay.
And then we changed the comp charging handle. Just a few minor little things, and that was basically it. The trigger, of course.
Bad lever.
Yeah.
Bad lever's key.
Yeah, a lot of people on the internet don't seem to like the bad lever a whole lot, Matt.
I know, and I don't understand why. I know that a lot of people say that they're going to hit it, inadvertently hit it or with gloves. And I mean, I've had a bad lever on my work gun for 10 years, and it has never given me one problem. I've never induced a malfunction, but what it does give me is a speed with reloading and doing manipulations where I don't have to take my firing hand off the gun. Until somebody can figure out how to clear a malfunction and lock the bolt back to the rear without taking their firing hand off, the bad lever to me is invaluable on a duty rifle like that.
Sounds good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, what do you say we go to a question that you're going to like?
All right.
So, I've done 2 classes with Ben now and enjoyed them immensely because of which I've dedicated more time to training. The doubles drill has proven to be very effective and worthwhile skill development. The aim being jailbait splits or less, particularly on closer targets. With a close nested multiple target array, the long-term policy or method is to shoot with an even cadence so there's no distinction between splits of the 2 shots per target and transitions between targets. Okay, so that's what he thinks. So this guy's goal is to shoot with super fast transitions. Okay. Yeah, he didn't word this very well. All right, so let me just translate it. This guy's been doing doubles a lot, and like on an L-Pres target array type of a thing, she's finding the transition times are very long compared to the split times on target. So, what can you square that circle for him, Matt, or no?
Yeah, I mean, so I have yet to meet anybody that's going to shoot jailbait splits and jailbait transitions. I mean, that's just not a realistic. If he's splitting in 1.5, he's not going to push that gun in L-Pres to the next target in 1.5, from my experience.
Probably not, no.
So I would recommend, there's doubles is a good drill, but I think from what I've read about your explanation about doubles, as fast as you can pull the trigger, you're looking for kind of .20 splits. And
I do it more as a marksmanship thing, right? It's about a guy learning to handle the gun and shoot it straight while he's shooting it fast.
Yeah. So I think there's a number of things. If he gives up a little bit on his 1.5, 1.6 splits and shoots 2.0, he'll have the awareness to be able to process the sights a little bit better and have the control to push the gun to the next target in that .20 the same time, and it'll smooth out that cadence, and what the clock will show is a much, much faster time. But I think people, this is where probably was drilling it down in your class and got it, and then with left up to his own device, it becomes a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and something gets lost in translation. So I think he has the understanding if he's training that much in USPSA, but if he's not getting the desired effect shooting the splits he wants, he needs to look at kind of break this time down. Because if you're shooting 17 splits is great, but 35 transitions,
that's not going to work.
No, it's not. So, I think I love focusing on doubles, but maybe he needs to focus on transition. And it goes back to the dry fire I would venture to say he's not objectively processing his sights in dry fire. He's more worried about pushing this gun from target to target at speed and beating the second beat.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and doubles is about it's isolating, like Ben said, it's a marksmanship drill where you're working on your grip and being able to shoot 2 shots next to each other very, very quickly. But it's not, that doesn't have anything to do with transitions. You are just working on trigger control. The idea between doubles, if you think about it, like on an L-Pres setup, you get the gun to the first target, you shoot, like bam, bam, you move the gun to the next target. So all this does is this is just working on the pause in the double. So you shoot, like, for people to be familiar, you shoot like bam, bam, pause, bam, bam. So what it's doing is teaching you about like not pushing the gun down for the second shot. It's working on, let's say you're doing an L-Pres, but it's just teaching you how to shoot the gun straight without pressing down the gun and working on your grip. It's eliminating the stuff, so you're isolating one thing. So
if anything too, I think doubles is going to reinforce his slow transition time because you're following through on that second shot in doubles, and that's, you're using one drill hoping to get the desired outcome with transitions. You need to move on to shoot more Blake's drill.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of doubles.
100%. Yeah, you pick a different drill to work on transitions.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I think that pretty much wraps up the podcast today. Matt, thank you so much for coming back on because it generated so much interest. Thought it'd be good to have you come on and give a little more context for what it is we're doing. So I should say I've committed myself to once weekly rifle training now. So we will see where this thing goes.
And that's what this is with the goal of just learning something new and having fun.
Yeah,
is your goal.
I didn't give a fuck about like going to do any matches or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think it's going to be interesting to where you get around some very competent, seasoned rifle shooters and show them what you can do. There's going to be some feelings that get hurt, I think. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. We talked about it.
So we talked about Matt has a company, X-Ray Alpha. Matt, if people wanted to get in contact with you, how would they do that? And then what would be your clientele? What would they be contacting you for?
So right now, you can get in contact with me on my website. There's a contact form, or email me at matt@xrayalpha. Pretty much if you go into Google and you put anything, you can put shithead at X-Ray Alpha and I'll end up getting the email. So primarily I've been trained in law enforcement, prior to my retirement. Now I can train, military, civilian. So I've been a little hesitant with civilian classes. I got to figure that out with the vetting process and things like that. But hit me up for a training proposal if you're interested in hosting a class.
Matt, you sure didn't vet me very well.
It's ongoing process, Ben.
You're like this long-haired homeless guy. Yeah.
That's.
God damn.
Well, I wasn't worried. Like when you got down the stock, there was a couple of times I'm like, "Can you see the optic? Okay." I didn't know if we need to like brush your hair out of the way or what was going on.
Thank you, Joel.
You never see him shooting without a hat. You got to get him some of those like man bun like hair ties that can pull it back.
Oh fuck. This is going sideways. All right, listeners, if you have a question, go to bensteger.com, send it to me. If you have a hair configuration that you'd like to see, just let me know. I'm in a position now I can kind of take it any direction I want to.
He is trading his dignity for annoying me at this point with his haircut.
Yeah, but it's annoying a lot of people. It's good.
You got to post just a real quick like video of a draw, just a real flash, but have a little top knot, little man bun.
I could do that.
People would probably lose their mind.